We're going to win this election. The only way they can take this election away from us is if this is a rigged election. We're going to win this election.
We've had an unprecedented attack on our electoral system at the highest level from the President of the United States and some of his associates, trying to undermine the legitimacy of the election.
This is just a way they're trying to steal the election.
Because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that.
The principal goal of our foreign adversaries in interfering with our election has traditionally been to undermine Americans' confidence in our election system. That weakens America. Our own commander-in-chief is doing the job of our foreign adversaries for them and actually trying to impact the election system itself to make it harder for people to participate. It is the election system and the trust in our elections and in the peaceful transfer of power that is the source of our strength and the strength of our political system.
The American people have spoken, and they have spoken clearly.
And we respect the majesty of the democratic system. I just called Governor Clinton over in Little Rock.
I spoke to President Bush, and I offered him and Laura our congratulations.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country.
Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
The president has made it a significant campaign and even governing strategy to attack the legitimacy and integrity of our election system. And we're seeing an increasing number of stakeholders and the people really who are managing our elections getting out there and reassuring Americans that they should have trust in the system.
We're not going to tolerate foreign interference in our elections or criminal activity that threatens the sanctity of your vote or undermines public confidence in the outcome of the election.
The system is far more resilient than you might think. First and foremost, our election system is decentralized. The president doesn't run the election. No political party runs the election. They're run by states and actually thousands of local election administration offices. In virtually every state, there are still 5 outliers. Americans who want to cast an absentee or mail ballot can do so without having to provide an excuse. The protections are certainly not as much as I would like to see, but we've seen a wave of court decisions removing barriers to voters participating or getting their ballots counted across the country. Even many judges appointed by President Trump himself sweeping away unnecessary barriers to voting. There's at this point roughly 300 lawsuits that have been filed since the beginning of the year on voting during the coronavirus.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which is controlled by Democrats, has handed victories to the party in a lawsuit over mail-in ballots.
First-time voters are no longer required to vote in person.
The High Court ruled that ballots must be postmarked by November 3rd, but can be counted up until November 6th.
Part of why those efforts are being successful is because there's a mass mobilization also of advocates, ordinary Americans who are fighting for voting rights and who are objecting. And there are gaps that are still absolutely in place. And we just saw the U.S. Supreme Court weigh in a disturbing way. We have a lot of unacceptable voter disenfranchisement and racial disparities in the system that are not going to be fixed before Election Day. Nobody's stealing an election, but this relentless attack on voting rights is having an impact. But I think people shouldn't be alarmed. They should be mobilized.